Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Punaktu Sahabhyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mahavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritam Vande Bhagavanto Punah. We have been seeing manifestation and non-manifestation. Manifestation and non-manifestation doesn't mean something would happen to the objects. My being seeing my being the seer of the objects, my seeing the objects and not seeing the objects are called, my seeing the objects and remembering the objects is called the manifestation. My not seeing the objects or not remembering the objects is called the unmanifest state. It is not that something will happen to the objects. So nothing is going to happen to the objects. Objects will remain the objects. But their being seen is called manifestation. Their being seen is called manifestation. Their being remembered is called manifestation. Their being not seen is called unmanifestation. Their being not remembered is what is called unmanifest state. Here it is said, Manasetu Gruhe. Manasetu Grihe it is given. It is wrong. Manasetu Guhe. Guhe means in the cave of the mind. In the mind itself, in the cave of the mind, Vyaktaha means being seen. Saha avidya karma vasana. You see only they are only impressions. Avidya karma due to adhyasa karma vasanam. Avidya karma vasanam means avidya karma, avidya kama and karma. Avidya kama and karma. Adhyasa kama and karma. Vasana means the impressions. Vasanas does not mean desires here, the impressions, the unmanifest impressions. Vasanam impressions. Karma vasanam. Pashanna, see this Taijasa, Atma Uktaha. The Atma itself is called Taijasa, seeing those impressions, seeing those dream objects, seeing those dream objects, and seeing those dream objects being seen in the mental, in the cave of the mind. Swayam Jyoti Prakashita. And it is all, they're all illumined by the awareness which is Swayam Prakashita. Swayam Prakashita, Swayam Prakashaha. Swayam Prakashaha means, Swayam Prakashita means by Atma is the seer, and what illumines? Atma itself illumines. Atma is the Swayam Jyotihi. Atma is the seer, and by seen in whose light? In its own light. And therefore Swayam Prakashita. Swayam Jyoti Prakashita. And therefore Atma is called Taijasaha. Having seen Virat, we are seeing the Taijasa, the Prajna. This is called Taijasa. Having seen the Virat, we are seeing the Taijasa. The dreamer is called, the dreaming self. It is not other than the self, the Atma. The seer is the Atma. The seen is also the distortion of Atma. And in whose light they are being seen? Because in the dream there is no light. There is no candle, there is no sun, there is no moon, there are no stars, there are no local lights, there is no electricity, and therefore you see in your own light, and that is why Swayam Jyoti Prakashita. It is Swayam Jyoti, Swayam itself, Atma itself is Jyoti, Jyoti Swarupa. When you see the sun falls in the light of consciousness. Even the physical light falls in the light of consciousness. Consciousness does not fall in the light of physical light, but physical light falls in the light of consciousness. Consciousness is the one self, One has the only source of consciousness is oneself. तैः आत्मा उक्तः स्वयं ज्योतिः प्रकाशतः. Avidya, kama, kama, karma. Otherwise, in Atma, there is no kama, there is no karma. It is nishkriya, nishkamaha, nishkriya. But still, it is due to avidya, it is nishkamaha. It is avidya, kama, karma. And due to avidya, it has got avidya, kama, karma. Avidya, kama, karma. Vishaya vasana vapi chodyante naiva karma bhi. In the deep sleep state, you are peaceful. And in that peacefulness, there is no avidya, there is no kama, there is no karma. There is no avidya because there is no adhyasa. There is no body felt. Therefore, there is no adhyasa. When there is no avidya, there is no kama and there is no karma also. They have to manifest in the form of the thoughts only. And they are not, the thoughts are not felt. There are no thoughts also. Avidya which is not there, adhyasa is not there, kama is not there, karma is not there. In the deep sleep state, there is only oneness. And avidya, kama, chodyante naiva karma vihi yada buddha. And if they are manifest, they have to be manifest only in the form of the thoughts only. Buddha, in the mind. In the mind, Buddha. Tada jnaya prajna atma. At that time, the atma should be considered as the prajna. Atma should be considered as prajna in the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, it is Advaitam. That is why it is called Swarupa Avastha. It is not called Avidya Avastha. It is not called Vidya Avastha. It is Swarupa Avastha. And that Swarupa Avastha, that is why it's called Prajna. It is called Atma, is called Prajna. Ananyadrik. Ananyadrik means it doesn't see anything other than itself. It experiences no other thing than itself. It experiences only itself. It only experiences itself. And therefore, in Sushupti, you may ask a question. If it doesn't see itself, it sees itself. What is the guarantee? It is everybody's experience that you are experiencing only yourself. In meditation, you have the thoughts, and you don't think of anything else. You alone are there. There is no such a thing that you are not there. You are always there. And therefore, even when the thoughts are not there, you are there. In the deep sleep state, even the thoughts are not there, but the thinker is there. And therefore, he is very much the self, and he is very much there. And therefore, Prajnaha Atma Ananyadrik. Ananyadrik means he doesn't see anything. When you don't see anything, and you don't remember anything, it looks like darkness. And otherwise, it is not darkness. It is the darkness, that felt darkness also is within consciousness. It is a known darkness. It is not an unknown darkness. The known darkness, and therefore, whenever you don't see something other than yourself, it looks as though darkness. Even in when you close your eyes, it looks darkness. And therefore, when you don't see, when you don't hear, it looks darkness. When you don't see, when you don't hear, when you don't taste, when you don't touch, when you don't smell, even though the smell is there, but you don't smell it, it looks darkness. And therefore, in the deep sleep state, there is no smell felt, there is no sight felt, there is no hearing felt. You don't see, you don't hear, you don't taste, you don't touch, you don't smell, you don't think also. It's not felt, it's not, there is no thought of missing or anything. Even missing the objects has to come in the form of the thoughts only. And therefore, that thoughts also are not there. And therefore, in the deep sleep state, it is only prajna. That prajnatma is considered to be Ishvaraha. Advaitam is Ishvaraha. And therefore, it is considered to be Sayesh Ishvaraha, Yesh Sarvajnaha, Yesh Sarvadrik, Yeshaha. This is indeed Ishvaraha, this is indeed Sarvajnaha, this is indeed Sarvadrik. Because the one who sees Sarvam cha tat Drikshu Sarvapam cha. You're always in the form of the drik. Drik doesn't become drishya. Drik doesn't become adrik, non-seer. The seer doesn't become the non-seer. He sees he sees the darkness. The darkness also falls within the light of consciousness, and therefore he is called prajna. Mano buddhi indriyanam ya avastha karma sudhita. These avasthas are there. Jagrata avastha, swapna avastha, sushupti avastha. These three avasthas are there. These three avasthas, these three states are there. Karma sodhita. They're all due to the distortion of the Chaitanya. The distortion. It's not contortion, it is distortion. They are not, they appear to be, they are seen. They are only seen as karma chodita. Avidya karma avastha, karma chodita means avidya kama karma chodita. Chaitanya naiva bhasante. They are all illumined only by, the distortion is illumined by consciousness. It is the distortions are illumined by consciousness. What is it that is distorted? Consciousness is distorted. And who sees it? Consciousness only sees it. Consciousness sees the distortions of consciousness. Consciousness sees the distortions of consciousness. And therefore, the seer is karma choditaha, chaitanya neva bhasyante, ravina eva ghatadayaha. Ravina eva means like by the Ravi, by the sun, ghatadayaha, how the ghata, etc., the objects are illumined in the same manner. In the same manner, Chaitanya illumines all the distortions of the Chaitanya. The Chaitanya distorted looks like objects in the universe. These objects are none other than the distortions of the object, distortions of the consciousness, distortions of the subject. It is only in the form of Bhranti. Dig Bhranti, like Dig Bhranti is there. Dig Bhranti means when you go to the, when you go to a new place, you can't figure out which is the south, which is the north. That is where Dig Vibramaha. Dig Vibramaha means the confusion about the directions. It is a kind of because even though it need not be semi-dark all the time. In the Dashtantam, even though you don't see what is east, what is west, ignorance of the directions creates confusion. Non-understanding creates misunderstanding. Non-understanding creates misunderstanding. Agrahanam creates anyadagrahanam. It need not be semi-darkness or anything. In the that I do not know, this creates the confusion. That I do not know what it is, it creates a confusion. Therefore, Ghatadaya, how the sun illumines the pot, etc. In the same manner, Chaitanya illumines all the distortions of Chaitanya. Chaitanya illumines. The illuminary is Chaitanya, the illumined is Chaitanya, and the Karanam is Chaitanya, and the Jiva is Chaitanya, and the Advitiyam also is Chaitanya. Chaitanya has got so many roles to play. Chaitanya is both Jiva. Chaitanya only identifies with the body. Chaitanya only is the source of everything. So Chaitanya is the material for everything. Chaitanya is the karanam of everything. Chaitanya is the advitiyam. That is why Chaitanya is taught as adhyaropa upavada nyaya. In relation to the other things, it is adhyaropitam by itself. What is it? It is only consciousness. Just as yourself, in relation to your daughter, you are the mother, you are the father, but by yourself, you are only consciousness. You are only consciousness. When you go to the sushupti, you don't see your daughter, your children. You don't miss them also, and that is the state in which is your swarupa, and that in which you don't see, you don't feel it, you don't miss it, and that is swarupa avastha. And then what about the darkness? The darkness falls within this consciousness, and therefore darkness is not something that doesn't mean avidya or anything. Darkness also falls within consciousness, and that consciousness am I. In this manner, one has to understand. And therefore, here it is said, Ravina eva Gatadaya. And Chaitanya itself is the illuminer. Chaitanya itself is the Karanam. Chaitanya itself is the Jiva. Chaitanya itself is Advitiyam. Tatra evam sati buddhi jna. Tatra evam sati. When it is so, buddhi jna. The one who knows consciousness is nothing but buddhim janati iti buddhignya. Buddhignya means buddhignya. Buddhignya. Buddhignya means all buddhis he knows, all thoughts he knows. It knows. Consciousness knows all the every thought. Buddhignya. Atma bhasa avabhasayan. Atma bhasa. It is illumined only by it knows it knows the thoughts only illumined by consciousness. It illumines. It is the illuminer is Atma bhasa avabhasayan. Atma bhasa means by the light of Atma. Avabhasayan, illumining everything, illumining every thought by the light of the self. Karta tasam yadarthaha. All the actions are meant to be illumined by consciousness only. And they are illumined. Illumining means there is no action. They are choicelessly illumined. The subject is only, the subject is there. The sun is there. The objects get illumined. I would say the objects get illumined. The sun doesn't illumine. The sun is. The sun is. And all the objects get illumined in the sunlight. In the same manner, all the thoughts get illumined in the light of Atma. Atma doesn't illumine. Then it becomes karta. Illumining means is a karta. It doesn't, it's only luminosity. It is only. Atma is, Atma's light is. And therefore, tasam yadarthaha. And all the objects are there. All the thoughts are there to be illumined, to get illumined by in the light of the self. Modaireva karta ite abhidiyate. Modaireva abhidiyate. By the confused always think that Atma illumines. Atma is the karta. Atma is not the karta. Atma only is, and everything gets illumined. Everything gets known. Everything gets known. Even I know. That means you become the karta. You don't know anything. The objects get known. The objects get known. They get illumined by you. They get illumined by you. They don't. They get illumined by you, and therefore you are not a karta. You are a karta. You are a bhokta. If the objects get illumined, the objects get enjoyed also. The objects get illumined. The objects get enjoyed. Similarly, the actions get done. You don't do the actions. The actions get done. Even doing the actions, you think that you are the doer of the actions, but actions are only, the movement is only known. The movement is only known. The movement is as drishyam as any object. The actions are as drishyam as any objects. And therefore, yatha astaha mudaireva vidit. The akarta atma is seen to be karta by the confused. Even though it doesn't illumine the things. If you say it illumines, then it becomes the karta. It doesn't illumine, it doesn't know. Consciousness doesn't know. The objects get known in the light of the consciousness. The objects get illumined in the light of consciousness. The objects get illumined by the light of consciousness. And therefore, they only get illumined. And not that you come to know. It is not that you, even though we think so. That is the confusion. I think I know. You don't know anything. You don't know. They get known. The objects get known. The objects get known. The choice gets known. The choice gets known. The choice, you don't use the choice. The choice gets used. The choice gets used, and therefore the choice gets used. You don't use anything. It looks as though it is the jiva thinks that I am the karta, but actually you are not the karta. Consciousness by nature is akarta. Consciousness thinks that I am the karta, but it's not the karta. It is akarta. It is non-doer. And the next verse says, Sarvajna Sarvajnopi Atayeva Syat. Even Sarvajna only he can only be Atma can be a Sarvajna, and therefore Syat Swena Bhasa Avabha is Sarvajna, it is Sarvajna, even though it is Sarvajna, Sarvam Janati Sarvajna, everything gets known to the Atma, but still one thinks that it is Sarvam Janati. So सबको जानने वाला means सबको जानने वाला means कर्ता हो जाएगा. We have to say that he doesn't know, Atma doesn't know, everything gets known by the Atma. Bhasa avabhasayan sarvam sarva kriya hetu sarvam, and it is not only the it is not only everything gets known by the in the light of the self, but it is the karanam, it is the upadana karanam, sarva hetu, sarva kriya hetu. It is something that is something that is the kriya hetu, means it is the material for everything, material cause for all actions. It is the material cause for all actions. Sarvakritvam tathatmanaha. And therefore he is the all he is all powerful. We say that Sarvakritvam, he is the all maker, he is the all maker. He is Sarvajnaha and he is Sarvakrit. Sarvakrit means he is omnipotent also. He is omnipotent, we say, because um, he is the material cause for everything, and therefore he is omnipotent. That has to be understood. He is Sarvakrit. He is called Sarvakrit. Sarvakritvam. He is the Sarvakritvam. He is omnipotent because he is the material cause for everything, all actions. Tatha Atmanaha. So far we have seen Sopadi Atma. In relation to something. In relation to something is called Sopadi. Nirupadi Atma. Adhyaropadrishtya Sopadi. Apavadrishtya Nirupadi. That has to be understood. It is not Upasana. Upasana Yogyam is Sopadi and Upasana Ayogyam is Nirgunamiti. It's not that way. Sopadi means in relation to something. And in relation to something is called Adhyaropadrishtya. Sopadrishtya evam Atma Uktaha. Uktaha means the Atma has been explained as the Sopadi in relation to something. In relation to something, it knows everything. Everything has in relation to everything, it is Sarvajna. In relation to the action, it is the Upadana, etc. But from its own point of what is it? It is something that is said here. Nirupakya Anupadikaha. Nirupakya means it is something that Nirupakya, it has no meaning, it has no name. Nirupakya, it cannot be described. It is Nirupadikaha. If after Swarupa cannot be described. Swarupa has no name. Swarupa has no Even the word Swarupa, we say, is not it doesn't convey itself. Nishkalaha, it is free from kalas. Nishkalaha, nirgunaha, it is free from gunas. Shuddhaha, it is free from impurity. Tam manovakna cha na apnutaha. It is not reachable by the mind and the speech. It cannot be yato vacho nivartante aprapi manasasa. That is being is explained here. Yato vacho nivartante aprapi manasasa. It is the thought and the word beat back without reaching the self. The self is apavad drishya swarupam. What is it? It is something that you can't describe. Apavad drishya, it is yourself. And therefore it is said here, Vakcha na apnutaha. Chetanaha achetano vapi, karta akarta gata gataha. Many philosophers think it is this way, that way. It is conscious. Some people think it is consciousness. Some people think it is a non-consciousness. Some people think it is a karta. Some people think it is akarta. Some people think it is sarvagataha. It is not sarvagataha. It is only present in the body. In this manner, agataha, baddhaha. Some people think it is always bound. Muktaha. Some people think it is always free. Tatacha ekaha, anekaha. Similarly, some people think it is ekaha. Some people think it is anekaha. Some people think asuddha, anyatha itiva. Some people think it is different. In this manner, and anyatha means it is not pure. In this manner, philosophers think. Philosophers air with their opinions about Atma without knowing, because the pramanam is there. The pramanam is Vedantanam Upanishad Pramanam. That Vedanta is not taught. And therefore, everybody thinks different things, imagines things. It's ekaha, anekaha, it's all imagination. If you control imagination, subjectivity, then you can understand the truth. You have to control the subjectivity. So you understand what is subjectivity. Subjective thinking has to be controlled. Subjective thinking has to go. If it is not subjective thinking, then it is only objective. Objective means consciousness. When we say you should not imagine consciousness, consciousness is very much there. You are consciousness. You means it is not imagined. It is not subjectively imagined. It is not like likes and dislikes. I like it, I dislike it. They are subjective thoughts. But it is free from subjectivity. Freedom from subjectivity. Anyatha va iti. Anyatha iti va. Anyatha means differently. People think differently. Because one doesn't think subjectively and one understands that Vedanta is the Pramana. Vedanta is, when you read, when you study, Vedanta always tells it is and it is Advaita, it is non-dual. It is and it is non-dual. And in every sloka, it is said so. And so therefore, Vedanta is the Upanishad Pramanam. By otherwise, it is called Vedanta. It is the Upanishad is the Pramanam. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. That Pramanam is indeed what is something. Every Astika studies only Vedanta. If he doesn't study Vedanta, independent thinking, like philosophy, it cannot be understood. You have to study Vedanta. Vedanta is the Pramanam. Only through Vedanta it can be understood. Without Vedanta, then one starts imagining things. Muktaha tatha ekaha anekaha shuddhaha anyatha iti va. In this manner people think. Chetanaha, Chetanaha. Some people think he is consciousness. Some people think he is unconsciousness. Karta, Akarta, Gataha, Sarvagataha, Gataha, Agataha, Baddhaha, Muktaha, Tatacha, Ekaha, Anekaha, Shuddhaha, Anyatha, Itiva. In this manner they think, philosophers think. Therefore, independent thinking is not the Pramanam. Independent thinking is not the Pramanam. And it is Shastra Bhakyam. Anything that is Shastra Bhakyam is not the Pramanam. Buddha, Jina, all these things are, all these people are indeed, they are not Pramanam. Buddha, etc., are not the Pramanam. They are Shastra Bhakyatvat. Shastra being Bhakyam. They are being Bhakyam outside the Shastra. Outside the Shastra, and therefore they are outside Pramanam. And therefore, Pramanam should be studied in order to get the Prama, in order to get the Jnanam, because that is how it is. Therefore, Sopadikas Shaivam Atma Uktaha Nirupakya Anupadika Nishkalaha Nirgunaha Shuddhaha Tam Mano Vakcha Naapmataha. It is something that from Apavada Drishti, from Apavada, away it cannot be reached by. Apavada means freedom from. Nishkalaha Nirgunaha. When we say the negative word, Nishkalaha Nirgunaha, Nirgunaha, it is Apavada. Nirgunaha, freedom from gunas. It is the Upadanam of all the gunas. At the same time, it is Nirguna. That it is Nirguna is Apavada. That it is the Upadanam is in relation to something. In relation to something. Freedom from everything is, from its own point of view, it is Nirgunaha. In relation to something, it is Upadanam. This is what is said here. And the more of it we will see in the next class. Thank you, Jay. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today happens to be Guru Purnima. So today we will read Guru Stotram, and then I will give a 5 minutes talk, and then we will Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Taspadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam, Yatkinchit Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam, Trailokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sarvashruti Shiro Ratna, Virajita Padambuja, Vedantambuja Surya, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chaitanya Shashvata Shanta Vyomatito Niranjana Vindunada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jnana Shakti Samarudha Tattvamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradata Tasmai Shri Gurave. Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine Atma Jnana Pradane Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shoshanam Bhavatindosya Jnapanam Sarvasampada Guru Pado Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Naguro Radhikam Tattvam Naguro Radhikam Tapa Tattva Jnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Mannada Sri Jagannatha, Madguru Sri Jagadguru, Madatma Sarva Bhutatma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gururadiranaadisya, Guru Paramadaivatam, Guru Parataram Nasti, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Brahmanandam Paramasukam, Kevalam Jnanamurtim, Dvandvadhitam Tadasadarsham, Tattvasyati Lakshmanam, Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam, Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam, Bhavatetam Triguణarhitam, Sadgurum Tam Namami. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva. Supposing there is a bird which sees its own reflection in the mirror and thinks that there is another bird and goes behind the mirror and sees where is it. It sees its own reflection, but it cannot understand even if you say. If you see your reflection, if a tiger sees its own reflection in the water, it falls into the well, but it doesn't find any other tiger. It dies. It needs to be told, but it cannot understand. If a man, that is why Vedanta is meant only for human beings. Vedanta is meant for human beings and the species above the human beings, like Devatas. Devatadi Karanam also is there. Devatas also can understand if it is taught, because Devatas also have intelligence. Human beings have intelligence, and therefore here on the earth, Vedanta is meant for only human beings. Even though it is applicable to everybody, every consciousness, every jiva is Brahman, including amoebas, but then they cannot understand. The lower creatures cannot understand, and therefore it is not meant for them. And therefore, it is called Aptavakya. If a person is, if the seeker is the sought, at that time, if the seeker is the sought, then what is the pramanam? Aptavakyam alone is pramanam. Shruti is a pramanam. Shruti only says the seeker is the sought, and therefore Vedanta is the pramanam. Whenever the seeker is the sought, the pramanam is only the Aptavakyam, and Vedanta is nothing but the Aptavakyam of Parameshwara. The one who understands. Aptavakyam means, Aptapurusha means the one who understands the fact, the one who understands that it is a reflection, the one who understands that it is a reflection in this manner, the one who understands that the seeker is the sought. In this manner, the tenth man is seeking the tenth man. At that time, the Aptavakyam alone is the Pramana. Aptapurusha is the Pramana. Similarly, here also, Shastra is only the Ishvara's Aptapurusha. Ishvara is the Aptapurusha. Ishvara teaches. Whether you teach or Ishvara teaches, it is the same thing. Whether you may say that the Rishi is taught, it is not taught by Ishvara. You may say, the Rishi also having understood that he is Ishvara, he teaches. He understood it from his teacher, and his teacher understood it from his teacher, and in this manner it goes on, and it goes on to, if Parameshwara can create a Ishvara, Parameshwara can create the universe, why can't he create this knowledge also? This Aptapurusha, he can be Aptapurusha for the universe, he can be Aptapurusha for teaching also. And therefore Parameshwara is the Apta-Purusha. Shastra is the Pramana, and therefore without studying Vedanta, you cannot understand. And therefore Apta-Purusha is important. Apta-Purusha is, Parameshwara is the Apta-Purusha, and the entire Vedanta is Apta-Vakyam alone. It is Eka-Vakyam. It is Eka-Vakyam means Eka-Vakyatvam. It is one statement about the truth. It is one state, Tatuttvamasi, that thou art, is a statement about the truth. I am Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. These are all indeed, Mahavakyas from four Vedas. Four Vedas. Prajnanam Brahma is Rig Veda. I am Atma Brahma is Tharva Veda. Tattvamasi is Chandogya, that is Samaveda. And Aham Brahmasmi is Yajur Veda. Aham Brahmasmi is Yajur Veda. Yajnavalkya says, Aham is indeed Brahma. Aham the Atma is Brahma. Aham means the Atma. Aham does not mean the Jiva. Aham the Atma is Brahma. Atma is Brahma. Tattvamasi. That Sat is indeed the what? That Sat means the existence of the existence. Apart from existence, there is nothing else. You are only existent, and existence is the Brahman. Existence is Brahman, and that Brahmatvam is yourself. That Brahman is yourself, and therefore Vedanta is the Pramana. And that Pramana, in order to the teacher is called Guru. Gukaro Andakaraha Rukarastan Nivartakaha. Guru means the one who removes the ignorance of avidya. He is called Adhyas ke bare mein jo the one who can correct the adhyasa is called Guru. And the Guru Purnima means it is also considered that Veda Vyasa wrote Bhashyam. But I don't believe in all these things. It is meant only to show. It is meant to show that okay, it is only meant to show that the teacher student relationship, it is being celebrated. It is being celebrated, that is called Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is not Veda Vyasa wrote something. Don't take it that way. It is only to celebrate Guru Sishya relationship. Guru is anybody's Guru. Teacher is, that is why we have the shloka which says Sadashiva Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Padmabhum Vasishtam Shaktincha Tatputra Paracharancha Vyasam Sukam Gauda Padam Govinda Govindra Mathasya Shisham Sri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padma Padancha Astamalakanja Shisham Tam Totagam Artikakaram Anyan Asmad Gurun Santata Manatosmi. In this manner, Guru Sishya Paramparako, in order to celebrate it, it is given there called Guru Purnima. In Guru Purnima, what is to be understood is Vedanta is the Pramana. Without Vedanta, there is no knowledge. And therefore, Vedanta ko padte rahna chahiye. Vedanta, it is said, Atma vare drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyastavya. It has to be thought, it has to be heard, it has to be understood. But in order to understand it, what should one do? It has to be heard, it has to be reflected upon. But it has to be studied. While studying itself, it becomes the vichara, and therefore you have to study the Vedanta. Vedanta is the pramanam, and therefore that has to be understood. In every Guru Purnima, what is to be understood is that Atma has to be studied through only Vedanta. It is not to be subjectively thought of, and this is what is to be understood. Main thing, and then what is where are the prasadamji? Today's prasadam can be taken. Prasadam can be taken. Please come. Hariam Jai. Hariam Jai. अब ठीक है ना जी, 2 दिन के बाद दर्शन किया.
Continue to have classes here or
Online class.
you can announce this because everybody is asking.
We will continue to have the online classes, ji. We will continue to have online classes, and then online classes ke baad we will come here. But right now it's hot and it's raining also. We can continue to have the online classes, and then we can continue to have the online classes. ji. We can continue to have the online classes. Online classes we can have. Hariam ji. You're all right, ji?
I had a fall, but now I'm right.
Thank you, ji. Hariam ji. How is Ansar ji?
Everything is fine. I want to come over to your place. Can I?
Please come.
I'll call you and come.
Any time. Whenever you are free. After 4,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Hariam ji. हरिओम जी. चल रहा है जी. क्या करें. हरिओम जी.
We are all in the same boat. Looking well. कैसे हैं आप? क्या
हमारा भी चल रहा है. मेरा भी
अच्छे लग रहे हैं स्वामी जी. इस वक्त तो फोटो से ज्यादा अच्छे
स्वामी जी का याद करेंगे पता क्या हमारे को. Yes, yes, yes. My mom is also there. I'm not very सांस आ रहा है, लग रहा है, ठीक है। ऑनलाइन हो
Mr. Anda is all right. चल रहा है. His memory is good, but I can't walk.
Swami, you can announce everybody has taken prasadam.
Everybody has taken a prasadam. Has everybody taken prasadam, please? Haji? Yes, sir.
Yeah. She is studying your lectures, Swami. Online she is studying.
Online Brahmasutra class. Very good. Sir. Yes. He is putting online classes. Very good.
जो भी है भगवान का प्रसाद अपने को
ये आपके लिए जी. ये लीजिए. हेलो.
He's complaining, Swami.
Why? वो माता जी को आप माता जी को दे दीजिए. हाँ she has to. हाँ जी.
आपको याद करते हैं my entire family members.
Abhi your brother
He's retired now.
is retired now.
He just had some surgery. But he's retired.
He is retired. ठीक है जी.
Maybe he and I will come and see you at your convenience.
5 o'clock in the morning. In the evening, 4:30, 5 o'clock.
I'll phone करके आऊंगी.
LL.
Okay, Swamiji, are you going to go to Upadesha this time? No.
You can go.
We'll go. I'll call you and go maybe in September or October.
You can go.
I took my parents this time to the hill, 90-year-old my father. He came. We just came back last night.
You go to.
We'll go.